Hey guys, welcome to this video. This is actually the first video on this channel, so I decided to make it because a lot of people have been asking for a deck profile. I got third place at the regional event at Gamers R Us in Cocoa, Florida. So I topped. It was a really smooth, really fun event. I went 4-1. Round 1 I faced Dark Broly and I 2-0'd. Round 2 I faced Android 21 and I 2-0'd. Round 3 I got demolished by Vegeks. I got 0-2'd. To be fair, he went undefeated and won the tournament, so that's okay. Round 4 I played against a King Vegeta and I 2-0'd. And round 5 I played against Black Mass Saiyan and I went 2-1. So overall, pretty well. I feel the deck can adjust to most situations very well. So it is my favorite deck to date that they have made. It's Baby Vegeta, who's one of my favorite characters. It's GT, which I love, and it's Mono Blue Control, which is something I've really wanted to be good for a long time. So if you don't know what the leader does, auto plays Tuffle before you even shuffle your deck. On the front, when you swing, he draws a card. When you go to 4, he awakens and draws 2. On the back, he's an Overlord, so you can bottom deck Servants. When he swings, you draw, and he has an Activate Main, where you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add a Mono Blue counter card among them to your hand, and then you put the other 2 on the bottom, and then you put a card from your hand on the bottom. You do still have to bottom deck from your hand if you whiff. People ask me about that. And Tuffle, heart and soul of the deck. It's what makes you have to play Mono Blue, but it's worth it. Has an Activate Main, where you add a card from your life to your hand, and then you put a card from your hand at the bottom of your deck. Self-Awakening is very good for this deck. And if your leader is Mono Blue Baby, and all of your energy is Mono Blue, then all of your counter cards, with a cost of 5 or less, have their non-specific cost reduced by 1. So essentially, makes everything really cheap and really good. So I am playing 1, 2, 3, 4 Revenge Big Bang Attack, and 1, 2, 3, 4 Dimension Magic. They basically do the same thing. 1 cost negate, you pay 1, stop the attack, then you get to untap 2 of your mana. This one draws you a card, and this one has Sparking, so as long as you have 5 or more cards in your discard pile, you can activate for free by ripping a life. So super good. Staples, you need them. 1, 2, 3, 4 Son Gohan Baby's Minion. It's basically Topo for blue. So it costs 2 because of that. You pay 2, negate, play him. Your opponent cannot swing with anything unless they bottom deck a card every time they swing, and he's a servant. So on your turn, 25k swing, bottom deck him to draw a new card. So have to run 4. It is insanely good, especially in this deck. I only run 1, 2, 3 Mechiorp. Mechiorp is completely free. He becomes 1 from Tuffle. When you play it, you negate the attack, play him, and then untap a mana. So he's a free 15k body and a free 5k combo off the board. I only play 3 because if you run into something where, like the anti-untap counter things that they made in the draft box, he's not the best, but I really love him, and I would not run him at anything less than 3. I run 1, 2, 3 Heroic Prospect, which really saved my ass main decking them against Dark Broly. It's essentially this, but for big cards. It costs 2 because of Tuffle, and 1 when you have a Unison on board because of its own ability. So he says you play him, negate the attack, and when you play him, your opponent cannot swing with anything that costs more than their current energy unless they bottom deck 2 cards every time they swing. So if they bottom deck 1 for him, 2 for him if it's bigger than their current energy. So stacking them is very fun. I main deck 2 Mafuba. I don't know why people don't main deck more of this card. It is tutorable off of the leader, so it's not dead. You can charge it if you don't need it. It's a 1 cost that just says, oh, you have something with barrier or a secret rare or quad strike, triple strike, doesn't matter, dual attack, triple attack. As long as it's not a Unison or leader, you just pay 1, put this on there. The card does not exist for the next 2 turns. Like, you just shut it off. Technically, it's turned off for that turn, then your turn, and then until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this will save your ass against King Vegeta. And then obviously, Baby Hachiyak. This card's really expensive, but I picked it up back when it first came out, and it's getting reprinted in, I believe, October if you don't have it, so watch out for that. It is the best secret rare in the game, in my opinion. I like it better than Celestino. I like it better than Awakened Power. I like it better than Heroines. It's tutorable off the leader, and as long as you have 3 or more energy, you just discard 1 card, play this. Your opponent cannot swing for the rest of the turn. It is a Time is a Warrior's tool in Super, and it is literally the best negate in the game. I don't understand why you wouldn't run it if you're playing blue. So that's all of the counter attacks in the deck. We're running 1, 2, 3. Diabolic Parasite. This card is really, really good. It has Overlord, so if you have 2 Gohans on board, you can bottom deck 1 from his Overlord and bottom deck 1 from his Overlord. And he's a counterplay where you pay 2, and then you get to untap 1, so he's really a 1 cost. And it says, if your opponent plays anything 4 or less, bottom of the deck instead of being played, so the autos do not proc. This is essential to get rid of the silver bullets. Does not hit the deflect Goku silver bullet, but it hits so much right now, and you should run 4. I run 1, 2, 3 God Sealing. I only run 3, not 4, just because it can clog a little bit, but it's probably the best counter play in the game. Anything, any cost, as long as it doesn't have deflect. For free if you have a Unison, discard this card, and it goes to their hand instead of being played. This just destroys anything that is a high cost without barrier, or excuse me, high cost without deflect, or especially high cost overwhelms, like Fu Shrouded. So another big thing about this is you can pay 4 for this and still use its ability because of Tuffle. And I've done that before, and it is very, very worth. Like, sometimes it will save you the game. I run 1, 2, 3, Baby Golden Avenger. One of my favorite cards in the entire game. It is a unique, so you can have 1 on board, triple strike, 30k. It's your big boss monster. And what makes it really good is both a counterplay and a counter-counter. So with the counter-counter, just negates the counter, insanely good. And the counterplay, anything 7 or less goes to their hand instead, so it hits about everything but secret rares. And when he's played, you get to draw a card and then bottom deck something, ignoring barrier. So this helps you get rid of a lot of really annoying things, like if you're playing against Mecha Frieza, get rid of Bojack. So I love him. I play 2, hit Deadly Vanguard. Basically, he reduces his own cost by 2 during your opponent's turn, and then Tuffle reduces it by 1 more, so he's at 2 cost, and he bounces 2 cards, so in the counterplay, he'll bounce something 5 or less back to hand, and then when he plays, you get to bounce something on the board with a cost of 5 or less. So this can hit the big 5-drop Vegeta, because you hit it on the auto. You will have to crit a life, but sometimes it's worth it when you're playing against King Vegeta. So those are all of the counter plays for the deck. So you have a bunch of targets to look for off of your leader. For our Unison lineup, I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4 Unknown Parasite because I love this card so much. It's literally comes in with 5 markers because you pay 3 and then you plus 2 and you draw a card. And then it's a 15k body, and your -5 is insane. Makes your leader a 30k double striker, and you get to activate counters from your hand by discarding cards. This card has been my baby since Side 11 dropped. I adore it. However, the newcomer to the deck is making me think about cutting it a little bit. I'm not going to get rid of it, but Agent of Destruction Majin Buu. This card saved my ass so many times this weekend. It's a double strike blocker, 20k for 4, but you get to play it with an open mana. We'll see with the +0. +0, you draw a card. At the end of the turn, you untap a mono blue energy and him. So you get to swing with a 20k double strike, then have a 20k blocker, and you get to restand a mana. So you're on the same curve as this, because you would play this on turn 4. And his -1 you do during your opponent's turn. When they swing with any battle card, you can bottom deck any battle card. Not ignoring Barrier, but still, this gets rid of Demigra, Dark Overrealm. This gets rid of the new Gogeta promo. That's his 3/1. This gets rid of so many boss monsters. This gets rid of the 5-drop. This gets rid of the 5-drop Vegeta. This gets rid of the 5-drop Frieza and King Cold. It is insane, and I'm really happy Bandai gave us this card. So those are all the Unisons I run. I used to just run 1 copy of him, but I upped him for the weekend, and I will be keeping him at least 2, if not making it 3-3 split. Super combos, 2 Vegeta, Disciplined Warrior, 4 less life, bottom deck a card, draw 2 cards, one of the best super combos in the game for every color. And 2 Zamasu, I've always played this split. I'm not a big fan of the Zeno. I prefer this because you always have the 10k live, and it's essentially a second negate where you get to tap something. It can tap a leader, which is my favorite thing. So if someone gets greedy and they swing with a big battle card, you can tap their lead, no longer get that draw. So I love it. I'm running 2 of the Draw Ape because it is a great mana sink for later in the turns. It is a card that you want to discard because this deck loses pretty hard to like green discard stuff. And I mean, it lets you go through your deck quicker. It's food to put in the drop area for your Fu Shrouded, and if you don't need it in the drop, just pay 2 during your turn and draw 2 cards. It's insane. I played 2 Obuni. I did not play him at all this weekend. Usually I love Obuni, but he was pretty dead this weekend. He plays 3 tokens. He has to untap a mana. He has Deflect. He's good. He's like essentially 4 bodies for 4 mana, but I just didn't end up playing him. I don't think he's being crept or anything. I think he's still good in most matchups. It's just I'm too aggro to do anything. And this is my spice. I do main deck 2 Son Gohan and Piccolo and 2 Kami Global Unifier. This says you pay 1 to play him. He has Deflect, draw a card, pay 2 mana, and you blow up your board and your opponent's board. Everything 4 or less, ignoring Barrier. So this thing hurts King Piccolo. This thing really hurts Black Gogeta, Vajax, all that stuff. 3 mana is not that much in this deck, so it is worth. I've mained 2 for a very long time because I have a lot of friends that play a lot of swarmy stuff at locals. Shout out to my locals like Warehouse 51 and Kitchen Table Games for having some great players that beat me so hard I decided to actually get good. And then this card is also really, really great. You pay 1 mana, discard it, and if your leader's blue or green, you get to bottom deck 2 guys, cost of 3 or less. So it is not like adding up to that cost. They can both be, 2 cost 3 or less. So you can bottom deck 2 3 costs. It is very, very good. This really hurts King Vegeta because they'll have their 3-drop Vegetas they're going to evolve into, and during your turn, before their turn 3, you just go pay 1, bottom deck them, and then they have to hopefully draw into more to actually replay them. And our 2 boss monsters, 17 Turning the Tide. He's usually very good. I didn't play him once this weekend. He's crit, deflect. Actually, no, I think I got a game or 2 with him, yeah. You play him, choose all of your cards in your hand and all of your opponent's cards in their hand, shuffle them into your decks. You do not draw anything. And essentially, you have to kill that turn because then you swing with him. They take a 30k crit damage, and you want them at 2 life or 1 life, and then you swing with lead, draw a card, and they have no cards in their hand, so they can't out combo. And the fucking MVP of the entire weekend, Fu Shrouded Mystery. I love this card. I have loved it for a very long time. It's an Overrealm 10, which is sometimes a hassle to get to, but you pay 6 mana, which is good in this. Easy and baby. Double strike. 30k. Your opponent cannot activate skills on anything other than their leader card until the end of their next turn. For 2 turns, they cannot negate, block, plus or minus their unison. They really can't do anything at all. And this card has saved my ass so many times. The combo of something like this tapping out and then this is one of my favorite things. Something I used to do a lot, but I didn't get to do this weekend. One of my favorite ways to kill people, and the reason I love the baby unison so much, is you have this out, you -5 on it during your turn when you have 6 mana, swing with lead, they negate because they're going, okay, he's swinging now, he probably doesn't have Fu, drop 2 cards, play the big baby, bottom deck something, draw something, your 30k double strike swing goes through, then you pay 6, play him, and then you have double strike 30k, triple strike 30k, a 15k, and if you're tapped out, then you can just do this, and they can't do anything that turn because their skills are turned off and they can't even attack. So that was my main deck. It is a 54 card deck with Tuffle. It's 53 when Tuffle's not in the deck, which it never is. You can run that much because Baby sees so many cards a turn. You're drawing one at the beginning, drawing one off of your swing. You're usually drawing one off of either of your unisons after turn 4, and you are seeing the top 3 cards of your deck every single turn. So my side deck, which I did not side that much this weekend, like I said, Baby really has a lot of main deck answers to everything. Really all I side decked were 3 Dark Power Black Masked Saiyan, in case I ran into King Piccolo or King Vegeta. Yes, King Vegeta can remove this very, very quickly, but they have to waste a mana, which puts them off a turn. Also, this is rocks against Vegex and Black Masked Saiyan. Of course, they can just man on a mission it, or not man on a mission, excuse me. The, whatever. You know the guy I'm talking about. Warp the 1-drops up to the cost of 6. They can get rid of it. Masked Saiyan, that's what it is. 2 of the Mechikabura. Always side deck at least 2 of this, and pretty much everything I play. Once you know what they're playing, you literally just pay 2 for this. You say the cost of it and the character name, and they cannot play it against Dark Broly. You literally just go pay 2. Dark Broly cost of 6, and they can't do anything. I play 2 Ultra Instinct, the Unstoppable. I don't usually side this, but it was in case I ran into Mecha, because this can pop their Bojack, and it can pop the Annihilation Goku, which is very, very annoying to deal with. So this really, really helps. I played 2 Barrier of Hope, essentially the same thing, except lets you draw 2 cards. I don't like it as much against the Mecha matchup. This is for Mecha, this is for everything else, because you're mainly using this to get rid of their Annihilation Goku, and you would have to pay 4 because it's an extra card for this one. So I've always sided this in Baby. There's really not a reason not to. Another Kami, because getting rid of wide. It's really easy to beat tall decks with this deck. It can be relatively hard to beat wide decks, just because you have to waste a lot more negates, and your hand starts to get ripped, and, 1 Toa Twisted Sister, in case I ran into Dark King Mechikabura, and it also can help against something like Vegex, because you can pay 1 and get rid of their Koitsukais. Plus it's a draw, so just a 1-drop counterplay. I play a 3rd Mafuba in the side, because Mafuba is really good. I play a 2nd Turning the Tide, just in case I run into a matchup where, like Mechikabura, where they're warping a lot of my cards, so I won't get a large drop area, so I have to depend on this as a boss monster. Another Fu, because some games you really, really, really need to see them. So siding an extra copy is always worth it. And the Spice, Absolute Confidence. Essentially, this is just for playing against King Cold, because you can remove a marker during battle. So a lot of times they'll go up to 3 on their King Vegeta unison, and then they'll put 1 under to go to 4, swing at you, and then -3 to get that huge, huge damage off. And you can just do this and say no, and they can't do anything about it. So yeah, that was my 3rd place Regionals Baby list. I really, really love the deck. I don't think it needs to be hit on the ban list at all, just because there are so many really, really strong counters to blue in general, and this is really the only blue deck putting up numbers. You have the new Gohan and Soul Striker stuff, which I like, but I just don't think anything compares to Baby in the control aspect right now. I think Mecha Freeze is more mid-range. I think King Vegeta can go mid-range aggro. So it's really nice to have a solid, slow game control deck that allows you to really just say no to your opponent a lot. So thank you for watching the video. If you like the list, feel free to net deck. It is a compliment to me. And if you want to see more, I guess, deck lists and gameplay and stuff, I'm going to try and actually upload on here. So thank you, and have a good day.